video, we discussed where to start if you're trying to make some healthy changes and become a healthier version of yourself. And in that video, we discussed really focusing in on your bookends. So your bookends are your morning routine and your evening routine. Now, in today's video, we're going to be diving a lot deeper into that morning routine and really covering what those fundamentals are. What are the things that I recommend you really focus in on in your morning routine that are not only going to set you up for the day, but it's going to really support you from a health perspective throughout the day, but also going on into the evening as well. And I always explain that morning routine as that stabilizer, and particularly from the mental health side, the things you choose to do in your morning can have a significant impact on your mental health and mindset over the day. So I really hope you enjoyed this week's video, or enjoyed just listening to it if you are listening. And yeah, let's dive into talking about morning routines. So step one is release those pressures and expectations that you're putting on yourself, that you've got to have this really extensive, like 2-hour, 3-hour morning routine. Because if that doesn't actually fit into your lifestyle, then of course you're going to psych yourself out of doing these habits and putting these things in place, because realistically long term it might not work for you. So take the tips from today's video and work on these fundamentals to create a bespoke morning routine that works for you, okay? Not what works for other people, what works for you. Okay, so where we're going to start off with our morning routine is discussing that wake time. This is a really simple thing to focus on that can make a really big difference. Try and choose a wake time which you can become consistent with. Now, when it comes to our typical working day-to-day life, 9 to 5, all this kind of stuff, and Monday to Friday, and then we have the weekend off, a lot of people will fall into that trap of they will get up really early during the week because they have work, and then on the weekend it's like, oh, I've got the weekend, so I'm gonna like sleep in 3 extra hours. And listen, if you sleep an extra hour or so on the weekend, that's not going to be detrimental. But if you are having quite a drastic difference between your wake time throughout the week and then on the weekends, that actually could be making you feel far more tired during the week, because your body kind of circadian rhythm essentially is a little bit off, and it's like, hang on, are we getting more sleep? Are we not having sleep? Like, what's my baseline? What am I running on? That's kind of what the body's like. So we really want to nurture that circadian rhythm and really try and help create routine in that aspect. Now, something that I want to add to this is you do want to bear in mind, what time do you typically go to sleep? There's no good setting yourself this like, oh, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and be one of these people that, does this whole 5 a.m. morning routine when you're falling asleep at like 11, 12 o'clock at night. Because if you're just getting 5 hours sleep, that's not doing any good for your health. So you do want to bear in mind what is your sleep time, and based off that, choose a reasonable hour to wake up to make sure that you are getting adequate sleep, and then obviously you're keeping the consistency. And if the struggle is, yeah, but I go to bed really, really late and I have to be up early for work, so it's kind of hard for me to do this. No, it's not. Sort out your bedtime, sleep time, like go to bed a bit earlier. These are the boundaries and the habits you've got to put in place for yourself to become a healthier functioning human. Okay, the next thing you're going to do in your morning routine is when you wake up, get natural light into your house. If you wake up and it's dark outside, then just get the lights on. You've got to get some light into those eyes, get yourself up for the day, but particularly with natural light, and that is really what's going to affect not only on the pineal gland, but it helps with the circadian rhythm. It's incredibly energizing. Like, when you open up those curtains, I know it can be like, ooh, that light, but if you just let that sink in, it can be really energizing for the body. And this is a step in your routine that literally takes seconds, but it has a huge impact on your health. I do just want to add a little bonus tip on this one, just because I am literally obsessed with mine. If you haven't heard of Lumi lights, I'm sure like other companies do them, I just don't know what the other company's called. Mine's a Lumi light. Basically, you can get these alarm clocks that actually wake you up to like replicated natural light. Honestly, like, I could never go back. Like, I am obsessed with my Lumi light. It makes such a big difference. And also, if you are someone who does struggle in these winter months with seasonal affective disorder, so SAD, and you find your mood and everything is decreased over the winter, then actually these Lumi lights and yeah, this light therapy and waking up to it can be really therapeutic. I notice a huge difference in my energy when I wake up. It's also incredibly peaceful, and that's another thing to think about, because if you're waking up from your alarm on your phone, that can be actually really quite stressful. Do you know what I mean? You're in this lovely peaceful sleep, and then suddenly you have this, do you know what I mean, or whatever the noise is. Like, that's actually quite a stressful way really for your body to start the day. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of these lights and these alarm clocks that wake you up with light. So I use a Lumi, and yeah, the benefits and the health benefits of it are just immense, okay? Okay, the next thing in your morning routine is you are not going to sit in bed, grab your phone, and then turn it on, look at your messages, start scrolling on social media. This is a part of your morning routine where you start looking after your mental space, okay? When we're scrolling through social media feeds or even like checking emails or whatever it might be, there's a lot of information that we are basically absorbing without really consenting to. Like, you're just absorbing loads of information without really knowing what you're going to absorb. And some of those things, even if you don't like spend time reading it, subconsciously they go in, and all of these things can really have an impact on then your thoughts, you know, how you're setting yourself up for your day, your emotions. It might make you suddenly feel a bit low, or like get that little bit of lower self-esteem come in, or whatever it might be for you. But they can be really bombarding on our brain, and that is going to impact how you set yourself up for your day mentally. When you start your day tech-free and away from those devices, your mind essentially can start the day kind of untainted, okay? You get the opportunity to have more creative thoughts, definitely. You also can really think about the day, you know, choose the kind of questions you want to ask yourself, like how do I want the day to go? What kind of things do I want to do? You can really start your day on more possibilities and really psych yourself up. Whereas when you start on social media, like, if you suddenly come across posts and you're then having that self-comparison, you can start psyching yourself down, you see, and then that will hold you back. And I think the real kind of beauty in being away from the tech in the morning is that you allow yourself to really think and feel your own true thoughts. Whereas when you're starting on social media, your thoughts can then actually be altered or affected by what you are consuming and seeing. So on to the next thing. The next common thing people do in their morning, and I see this all the time in morning routines, is it's like, right, I've got to go downstairs, I've got to make my cup of coffee because I can't start my day without caffeine and all this kind of stuff. This is what we are ditching and we're changing, okay? You do not start your day on coffee, okay? Coffee cannot be the first thing to hit your system. Going back to the basis of the morning routine being a stabilizer, coffee is not a stabilizer. Coffee is going to make you go off, okay? So we need to get things into your body that are going to stabilize that system, and then you can enjoy your coffee after, okay? So we'll get to the coffee a little bit later. Don't worry, I'm not telling you not to have it at all. So you are up, you've got that light in, you are feeling good, I mean, not being on social media, and you're gonna go downstairs and you are going to hydrate, okay? You could even have a glass next to your bed if that is a hack maybe to start off with that just helps get that into your routine. But definitely wanna be thinking, you know, I need to rehydrate my body. You've had 8 hours potentially of, you know, sleep where you've not been drinking. So the first thing the body would really love is some hydration. Now, a little tip on hydration is do not start your day with a really cold, like, ice glass of water. Like, don't get water out of the fridge. I see people do this sometimes. That is not going to be good from a digestion point of view. When we think about digestion, you want to think about the qualities of that water. So if you're putting something cold and like really icy into your system, I mean, immediately just talking about it, I kind of go like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, cold. Do you know what I mean? So the digestion kind of be a bit more kind of constricted in a way. You want to think warm. You want to think lubricating, because the whole thing we're trying to do in the morning is we're waking everything up. We're getting that digestion going, and also we're trying to influence that nice, healthy bowel movement in the morning. So go for a glass of warm water and just start there. If that is the starting point for you, if this is a change in your routine that you don't normally do, just start with some warm water. If you're, you know, already getting this into your routine and you're like, I want to take it a little bit further than that, I mean, you can play around. You can do, like, you know, a bit of lemon in there. You could do some apple cider vinegar in there if you wanted to play around with those kind of things. Or you could even do like even a herbal tea, like a non-caffeinated herbal tea could be okay in the morning. You know, you can play around, but the whole goal is get water in and try and make it more of a warm beverage, okay? And also by doing this, you're getting going on that water goal for the day. So if you start it in the morning, there's more chance that you're going to then, you know, have little bits throughout the day and then meet that goal at the end of the day. I know a lot of people struggle, because I see this with a lot of clients, is that they don't have their water in the morning and then they hit lunchtime and it's like, oh God, I haven't even drunk anything yet. And then they start falling into this trap of drinking loads with their meals because they just keep forgetting, you know, to drink throughout the day. And you don't really want to do that, because if you're drinking loads of water around mealtime, that can actually dilute those digestive enzymes. So it's going to make that digestive process a little bit harder. And just a quick one on the coffee front is that if you are saying, you know, I need coffee, like, to start my day, I need coffee to function, that is a red flag, okay? That is not normal health behavior. You telling me that you need caffeine to start your day tells me there's either imbalances going on, or coffee can actually start to become a very habit forming thing where it's not actually the case that you actually need it. It's more so that you just got yourself into a pattern where you do have it at that time every day, and then you're like, no, I have to have it to start my day. So I would just say really try to break through that, and then yeah, we're gonna have your coffee a little bit later in that morning, okay? So we'll get there a little bit later. Okay, so things that I'm not really going over in this morning routine because I'm just focusing on the health side is obviously all the other things in your morning, like getting ready for the day, brushing your teeth, all that kind of stuff. So you slot that in where fits best for you. I tend to hydrate in the morning and then kind of get ready, and then it comes to breakfast time. So let's talk about breakfast. So in your morning routine, yes, breakfast needs to be there. So that could be the first thing for some of you. Maybe at the moment you're not having breakfast, so actually just getting a breakfast in the morning is the first step. Some things around breakfast that I would really focus on is definitely protein rich. What you want to bear in mind, and this is going back to why I keep saying that the morning time is that stabilizer, a lot of our hormones are at their most sensitive, particularly things like insulin and cortisol. So we really want a really lovely blood sugar balancing, stabilizing breakfast in the morning, and that is going to do a world of difference on the rest of your day and also your eating habits. So with breakfast, we want it to be protein rich, and also if possible, do try and have it within an hour of waking. We know that particularly for us women and our hormones and everything that we're discussing, that is a really stabilizing tip actually to pop into your morning routine and can make a really big significant difference. I know there is the topic of intermittent fasting, whether that is good. The thing is, there is some cases with certain individuals where yes, that can be beneficial. However, for the vast majority of the clients that I see, because I do specialize in acne women's health, that instant doesn't really suit with many of my clients, and we do want to get that breakfast in within an hour of waking. And also a bit later when we talk about coffee again, you definitely don't want to have coffee on an empty stomach. So actually having that morning breakfast before going into your cup of coffee will make that world of difference. Okay, we'll talk a bit more on that in a minute. If you want some inspiration on what a protein rich breakfast looks like, do follow me over on Instagram, because I share a lot of recipes and tips and things over there, and recently I've actually been sharing a couple of breakfast ideas. But honestly guys, when it comes to breakfast, a lot of the time I say to my clients, even just take the word breakfast away and just call your meals meal 1, meal 2 and meal 3, because it is just another meal of the day. And I think what we've really got sucked into is these breakfast foods, but it is just another meal. So honestly, if you actually had, and you know, some people go like, oh, like that sounds weird, but like if you had like leftovers of dinner the night before, you could have that for breakfast. Like there isn't like some rule book where it's like this must be like the only food you have for breakfast. Like no, it's something that we've created. So just think to yourself, right, what is my, you know, rich protein source for the morning, and come up with breakfast ideas that you love. Okay, so let's touch on that coffee then. So I'm not saying put coffee into your routine, I'm just covering this for anyone who does have coffee as part of their routine. But the tip is, as we've discussed, we're not going to have coffee as the first thing in the morning. We're going to wait until after we've eaten your breakfast. The big tip is just do not have coffee on an empty stomach. It is much better to time it after breakfast, and you are going to have a much better response to that caffeine for sure. But yeah, it's just going to make all your systems just a lot happier doing it that way around. So that is when you would have your coffee. Maybe even you can double stack it, and maybe you take your coffee on your commute, and that becomes part of a little ritual for you, and that's something that you enjoy. And also when you're having your commute, you're going to get your body moving, which is actually the next thing in your morning routine. We really do want to put an emphasis on just moving our bodies. Now, this doesn't need to be that extensive gym workout that some people might share in a morning routine. Listen, if you have time for it, fantastic, go do it. But it could just be a 10-minute stretch out on your yoga mat. It could be even better if you can get outside in the morning. That would be just like a star on your report card. So, you know, getting out with that, not only the natural light, that lovely sun exposure, get that exposure to the pineal gland, but getting the fresh air and everything. It's very grounding going out in nature. But you could literally go for like a 10-minute walk. But that's another thing definitely to consider popping into your morning routine. It's just some form of movement, okay? Particularly if you are working a job where you're sitting at your desk all day. You know, you can easily fall into that trap where you're sitting at your desk and you hardly move the whole day. Like that is not going to be good from any point of view for our health. So getting out in the morning is a good place to set the tone for the day. Start with these small steps and make the time of that activity smaller so you can just get in the routine of building that habit. And then when you start reaping the rewards and you're like, hang on a minute, actually, like, yeah, I feel so much better doing these things, then the time that you spend doing those things might increase, or maybe the frequency of you doing these things increase. The other thing, going back to a bodily function, is that when we're moving, again, going back to digestion, actually all the muscles, and even with our breathing and everything, there's a role with how all that plays together. Like when we breathe, your diaphragm actually massages along that colon, so that actually influences your digestion. So even when you're doing that movement in the morning, even for a walk, thinking about your breath, all of this is combining together to support your digestion and support your organs and get everything going for the day. Now, they are the fundamentals that I'm going to start with, okay? There is so many more things and tips that I can, share to add into your morning routine that can just really embellish it and then take things like a whole new level, which I am planning to do a whole other video on, so that also will be coming. But these are the starting points. And when we recap over the things I've spoke about in today's video, they're all actually very simple things to do in your morning. And even if you have a super busy morning, there is no reason for you to not implement the things that we spoke about in today's video. The things that we have gone through don't take much time. The one thing that probably takes the most time out of everything that I've mentioned is making breakfast. And listen, making breakfast also does not need to take much time. I can make a slice of toast with avocado, egg, and a bit of salmon on top in literally 5 minutes, okay? So time is not the problem. The problem is you need to start prioritizing yourself, your health, your mental well-being, all of these things, and start setting those boundaries and intentions in your morning routine. And listen, when you start doing that, you will honestly transform your day. Like, you will notice how you start your morning will have an impact on how you feel throughout the day, but also how your day goes as well. So I hope this video has been that boost of inspiration that you might feel like you needed. And give this video a like if you want to see my video on how to really elevate your morning routine further and give you all my tips and tricks and hacks on how to just, take that health support to the next level. So give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you want to see that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching or listening. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Mwah. Bye.